Hello everyone, Master Xeon1001 here, and in this video I want to go over some of the voxelization features inside of Boxcutter itself and what that actually means to us when it comes to topology and getting control over our surfaces. So with this shape, I'm just going to press Q, and under Mesh Tools we're going to hit it with a sphere cast. We'll press Ctrl A and set Visual Geometry to Mesh, and I'll take this moment to go into orthographic mode. We can press D, and in the pie menu just choose Ngon, and we'll hit the toggle to make our alignment to be view, meaning that I don't have to begin drawing off of the mesh. I could just begin drawing wherever and we'll be oriented to view. And we're just going to draw a simple shape. And now after clicking and dragging to extrude, we can bring this in, press X in order to get back our slice, and from here we'll hold shift to make it live. And we want to make sure that we have no modifiers present, because if we would have left the sphere cast modifiers present, it would have gotten in our way. But from here, what we want to do is actually shift select the piece inside of it in addition to this outer piece that's serving as our template, and we'll use HardOps Mesh Tool Set Origin, where we can click and drag from one dot to set the rotation. But if we hold shift, we can use that rotation we just set and click and set the location, meaning that even though I press 1 to get rid of my cutter, I can still select the slice and press shift 7 and actually focus to looking directly on top of it, which can come in handy. From here, we can begin talking about some of the systems that's been implemented into Boxcutter recently and how they can play together in concert to allow us to get a rather desirable result. So if we press Alt V and we look at our wireframe looks terrible. However, the sphere that we based it on actually has optimal geometry for a sphere, but because of the angle that we cut this, it's not optimal for our needs. So we can actually press Q and use Everscroll to recall our bowl shape. And under our alignment options, we want to go back to object, but we want to change our orient method to face fit. Face fit actually has a special behavior whenever it comes to utilizing our static grid. So we'll just enable static grid, and from here just enable grid. So now we are in static grid, and basically if I press Control while hovering over this, we see that the grid is actually oriented to the face and fits it. So let's just right click to set it still. From here, we can actually press S and scale this up. And let's actually select the piece that we intend to do this operation on. And what I want to do is shift, roll the wheel in order to add more subdivisions. And from here, we now have our grid positioned over the mesh, aligned to view, and we have our object that is selected that we definitely want to perform this operation on, meaning that if we press Shift K, we have now performed a knife project. So while things look a little messy, we can spend a brief moment just cleaning up some topology that was formerly here, allowing our new dice geometry to hold things for us. And by the end, we should actually have a much better topological result and even more control. So dice has been expanded into HardOps, which can actually allow you to get even more in depth with this particular aspect of working. However, in my impatience, I actually requested that the feature was added to Boxcutter just for me to be able to experiment with in the meantime. And since static grid is an experimental system of sorts just existing as a fallback, it seemed like the perfect place for us to actually add grid projection, which is what you're seeing me demonstrate today. We'll just dissolve that. It gets a little tricky sometimes with the dissolving, but every time I practice it, I find myself getting a little bit better. And while things look a little bit unruly this moment, things will definitely be making a lot more sense in just a moment. So a few more edges to dissolve. And now if we press tab, we're now back in object mode, and we see that we lost a little bit of our definition. So for this, I'll just press K, C, and just cut this all the way up. And this is what our results is looking like so far. So basically, as a result of dice voxelization inside of Boxcutter, we're able to actually project replacement geometry while keeping the form, allowing us to get to this result. I'm sure that there's a few of you out in the audience who are probably wondering why I didn't run clean mesh in advance, and that's because we would have sacrificed the form. We actually need geometry to hold the form while we project it, in which we can replace it. So the next question is, how can we automate such a thing? And that's really the big question whenever it comes to this particular workflow, because while we're able to replace these plates like as shown, we see that it is a little bit of a process, but definitely something that was much more of a process before. Whenever we're talking about going in with merge tool and cleaning things up, this is just an alternative way. But you know, I believe the crescendo of our tool and its goals is to finally get to the point where we actually begin correcting the geometry that we're creating. So while others have, you know, rushed to get to this goal, I feel that there's a bit of a dance that can be done on a technical level to just accrue a degree of understanding that will actually be beneficial to understanding all the steps pertinent to the process. But here we've actually sliced out another piece from view using Ngon. So we'll do the same thing as before, just use ever scroll to bring back this piece, shift select our slice, press Q, go under set origin, and we will just drag a line to set our rotation while holding shift. We will just click to set the location on a dot. And this means that now I can select the slice and press shift numpad 7, and I'm looking at it in top view. It also means I can press Q, ever scroll, and recall the cutter. And if I get out of view and enable grid, we can just do a face fit snapped grid, just fitting that area. Right click will actually pause it, or you can press tab or spacebar in order to pause static grid. And we could just press S in order to scale our grid out because we want it slightly bigger than the area we're dealing with. But we can also take this moment to shift scroll and choose the resolution that we want to deal with. So previously I went with a rather high resolution, which results in a bit of cleanup. But let's actually go for something this time that's a little bit more congruent with the actual geometry. So maybe something like that. From here, we'll just select the piece that we definitely intend to cut, because if we dice the cutter, it's just not going to give us the desired results. From here, we can press Shift K, and we have now diced this object. And from here, we can just go in edit mode and remove the pieces that are not actually provided by the grid. So this can be a little bit of a topological judging game, but it's one that I feel that with every attempt I get better at. So I'm actually doing this video to get you guys on point with getting in there and actually getting acquainted with this particular workflow, because it will become a thing more and more as time goes on, as we begin to clean up steps of the process, and of course try our best to turn everything involved in this into a single step and try to automate it. But before that, there has to be a technical side where we actually can get in and understand every step of the process, so that way we are one-to-one with our geometry. So here we are looking at this piece, and it looks like it would be fairly good. And by fairly good, I mean let's convert it to bevel. And I can already tell you it's not going to work out because of this edge along the side. It's just too close. So let's select one end, Control, select the other end, GG to slide. And we can do the same with this, GG, just slide. We don't want to mess it up too much, but we definitely want to give a little breathing room to this area. So now we can hold Control and click bevel to add a new bevel. I don't know why I had to hold Control. There's no need to actually hold Control. For this area, it got a little bit unwieldy, so this is where we bring in our buddy Weld, which Weld doesn't do much on the other side of bevel except for eat the bevel. But if we roll it up in advance of the bevel, we see that Weld can kind of clean things up, just helping us get a lot smoother of a plate transition. If we were to press Alt V and turn off wireframe, we could actually see the result of what we're going for so far. So while it's nothing to write home about, we're definitely looking at some much more understandable geometry than what we'd normally get when dealing with a Boolean. So from here, how will we clean up such a situation? Well, first, let's actually get in and understand what's going on. So I want to take this geometry, maybe just slide it a little bit. Let's take a look at this area. This area is truly a mess. Merge at last, and we'll just slide it out the way and not talk about it. And for this area, all we can do with this is actually try to relax the geometry, try to rework this area into being something manageable, but there's really not a lot that we can do for this since we're still in a fairly non-destructive state with it. Same with this area. There's not a lot we can do with this except for slide things around in hopes that it'll work, but that's where we'll actually come back with Weld and have a slight talk with it. So holding Control to select everything in between, it appears that there is no edge here. Let's try that selection again. And so far so good. So sometimes with these things you'll have to do a little bit of finessing, especially if you're trying to keep it non-destructive. However, if we were applying things, we would be having a different talking about consolidating the geometry and getting it to its final form. But because it's all non-destructive, we can have a little bit of fun with it while we just slide geometry around and mess with things just to see how the modifiers react in real time. So the only thing of question is really the corners. So let's try our old buddy weld. We'll click on weld, bring it into play, roll the wheel. Now we're eating the bevel's lunch. Let's hold shift, roll it up one in order to place it above the bevel. And we can dial it back a little bit just to see what we're looking at here. So we don't want to eat too much, but we do want to possibly slide this into somewhere a little bit more reasonable. So now we're actually looking at something a little bit more acceptable, even though things are still fairly non-destructive, and all we're doing is just toying with the geometry that's being given to the solution areas. Let's go to weld, maybe roll up the wheel just a little bit. Maybe to somewhere like that. Take a look at what we have, Alt-V, toggle off wireframe, and just like that we're able to see in action how we can use knife project with static grid inside of Boxcutter using face fit as a form of dice to basically force topology on a surface. And so I've been doing a lot of this lately, just taking spheres and just cutting off surfaces and just re-topologizing them, just thinking of ways that it can be optimized. But now that this video is out there, maybe it's something that you can ponder as well. Maybe we can come up with a solution on how we can optimize this and turn it into something that will just allow us to replace the geometry of a surface with something a lot more desired. But with that, I'll wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.